Thanks for tuning in. You are watching Quillbilly Garage. And for today's project, this is my 65 Oldsmobile Cutlass. You've probably seen it in previous videos. Now what happened this weekend is yesterday I pulled it out of the carport to do some work in there. And the car hadn't been driven in about 2 or 3 weeks, but a couple pumps of the gas and a few cranks and it started right up, no problem. I pulled it around front, parked it, did the things I needed to do, came back at the end of the day to put it back inside, and I turned the key and nothing. The dash lights came on, but I couldn't get no clicks, no cranks, and I wasn't sure what had happened. First thing I tried, I thought, well, maybe the neutral safety switch got out of adjustment, and so with one hand cranking the key and the other hand slowly moving the gear shifter down through the gears as it crossed park and neutral, I expected that the starter would kick in, but it never did. So then I thought, well, maybe, unlikely, but maybe something was drawing power down and the battery died throughout the day. So I went and got my load tester and tested the battery. It was just fine. Now, one thing that I remembered from when I moved the car in the morning was that the shifter, it's a column shift. Oh, look at that, the door's locked. I'll be back in a minute with the keys. I always consider it a small miracle on these classic cars when the door locks actually work and work well, as they do on this car. So anyway, thinking back to yesterday, I was remembering that when I operated the shifter, when I was driving it, it was really hard to move, or rather hard to move, as if something was all rusted up in there. And anyway, it was noteworthy. And then later on, as I was trying to diagnose why the car isn't working, isn't starting, I noticed that the shifter moves just fine and doesn't make any screechy noises and isn't sticky, which got me to thinking maybe the neutral safety switch has failed. Maybe that stiff shifter symptom was a neutral safety switch that was getting crusted and falling apart. So that's what we're going to do next is pop off the plug on the neutral safety switch and put a little bypass jumper wire across it and see if that fixes it. Gonna have to go get a towel or something to lay on, because unfortunately this car does leak and the car had to sit out overnight, and so the floor is just a little bit damp. All right, so here we are under the dash looking at the steering column, and you can see the neutral safety switch here. The plug has 4 wires, and so 2 of them are going to be for the power for the ignition, or for the safety switch part of it, I should say, and then the other 2 are for the reverse lights. Now I don't know which are which, so I'm going to pull them both off and one at a time see which one is the one we're looking for. Here's the jumper wire that I made up. I was kind of lucky to find the parts I did. We recently moved into a new shop and not everything is in its proper place yet, but fortunately, and I think it's maybe because one of my kids was doing some wiring on their truck, that they had found the terminal set. So anyway, quickly made this up with a piece of 12 gauge wire, and off camera I'll get in there and wrestle with getting that plug off, and then we'll try this out. I've got the first plug off, installed my jumper wire. Again, don't know if this is the ignition or the backup lights. So let's look at the backup lights, see if they're on. I don't know if the key would need to be turned on, but here we go. Key is on. Backup light is not on. So either that is not the backup light switch, or my backup lights don't work. I don't know which, but let's do something easier here. and see if the engine cranks. It does. Excellent. So, well, that's a success. I suspected it was the neutral safety switch. Sure enough, it is. And now we can move the car back under cover and get out of the way of this garage door. So, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Quillbilly Garage. Hope that you found this helpful. Again, it was the first plug that you come to on that switch that was the easiest one to get off first, and that was the one for the ignition, the neutral safety switch.